Welcome back to the weekly news roundup and the Linux edition. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to catch the show live and see what's going on. And today we are going to look at what is new in the Linux world. First up, over on Endeavour OS starts winding down their ARM branch. So Raspberry Pis and other ARM devices will no longer have an Endeavour OS build. This has to do with a couple things. First is they don't have enough people on their team to manage it. And the person who was managing it has other time commitments. Now, they said if they can get a team together to build the ARM branch, they will bring it back. So if you are using Endeavour OS and have experience managing a distribution, their ARM branch needs some management. So that is something you can look at. They did say the other contributing factor is that the Arch ARM branch is actually way behind where it should be. That actually surprises me a little bit. But they did say that it is several weeks behind the main Arch development, which might explain why Manjaro on my Raspberry Pi is super far behind. So there is that. So that is what they're up to over there. You can, of course, reach out to them. The GitHub page is still there. They're not shutting any of that down, but they are making sure that people are aware it is no longer an active project as of right now. So if you are interested in going back and helping support that, then you can go ahead and reach out to them. Next up is Ubuntu 24.04 is right around the corner. I don't know, it should be super right around the corner. I know they did have to delay their beta due to the XZ backdoor. So that is resolved in pretty much everywhere at this point in time. So if that beta is not out, I haven't been following the Ubuntu development as much as I probably should have. So they did delay that a little bit, but one of the cool things coming to 24.04, particularly those using Ubuntu derivatives with laptops, is they have some modern efficiency improvements on laptops. This is taking advantage of some of the new state indicators that can be done in Skylake and Zen 2 processors, respectively, those and upwards, whereas the default Ubuntu had a balanced power mode and they had a balanced performance mode, and now they are adding another mode into this, which allows you to use a lower power mode for on battery and a performance mode when plugged in. So now Ubuntu technically has 4 different power modes, although only 3 of those are exposed. And this has to do with new changes in how the power profiles are being managed in modern processors. So they can automatically select and detect those on in the background as you're plugging and unplugging your devices in. So I personally have not had issues with battery life on my laptops. They've actually lasted a long time on battery. I mean, we're talking I've edited and processed entire videos for 3 or 4 hours on a Ryzen 5 without having to plug into battery when my laptop's full. But for those that have had concerns with battery performance, Ubuntu 24.04 and by its extension downstream derivatives of that are going to be solving that issue. So that is really good news to look forward to. And next, some more improvements in Wayland with NVIDIA. Of course, NVIDIA and Wayland have not routinely worked well together, according to some people. They now have figured out the explicit sync. And once they have this put in, now this solves most of the issues. So this has to do with how the kernel, the hardware, and the compositor are interacting, where the issues with Wayland have classically been with NVIDIA is one of the things changes prior to the other one catching up, and it ends up with screen tearing and other issues that are causing a lot of problems. In fact, this is probably, I was trying to do some Manjaro sway testing, and I couldn't get Manjaro sway to boot at all in VirtualBox, and on Gnomes, I got it, Gnome boxes rather, I got it to install, but as I got it to install, it didn't install well. The graphical interface was doing all sorts of weird things. That's probably due to Wayland in that. As Sway is effectively a Wayland drop-in replacement for, is it i3, I think. And so with this, this deals with getting DRM in, but this is not the bad DRM, the digital rights management. This is the DRM that displays with display rendering. And so I think it's Display Rendering Manager. Do I have that right? I may not have that right. But it's not the bad DRM. This is the DRM that manages how displays are set up to the kernel. So this new change fixes a lot of the issues, and this is already being merged into Mesa, Mutter, and a few other libraries as well. Beta is planned for May 15th in the 5.55 driver release. So Wayland is expected to get way better with NVIDIA down the road. So maybe this will fix some of your gaming issues I've been hearing about. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know firsthand. And other people have said NVIDIA with Wayland has been a little bit of a problem. Of course, my experience, most things with Wayland have been a problem, but it is getting better. I'm not an anti-Wayland guy. I'm just an anti-get rid of X guy, and everybody needs to jump to Wayland right now. No. Put on the brakes. This is still in development, folks. So, but this is definitely an improvement. And speaking of amazing improvements, Flathub now prominently notes unverified flat packs. Now, the unverified in this, what this tag means is that the person who is sending the application to Flathub is the original maintainer or distributor of the software. This does not have anything to do with they have verified the identity of the uploader or that the code specifically is audited. Now, with Flathub, all of their packages are audited. This is something that Snap did not want to do and has been causing a ton of issues lately that they have gone back now and they said, we are going to be vetting these more closely. So, Flathub has always done that, but the verified just means that the person submitting the application to Flathub is the same person who has written the application, under the assumption that the person who has written the application, and you can see their source code, is not going to do anything funky sending it to Flathub, whereas somebody else might be doing something funky, but they are still being audited. So that's what the verified and unverified means. So if you find a verified flag inside of Flathub, no matter where you're working with, that's what it has to do with. Overall, if you're looking for which one is better, I think Flathub is the far superior distribution method over Snap because it's not centrally distributed. Everything is audited. And you do have, I think there's a lot better reputation, particularly in the FOSS community over Flatpak versus Snap, especially since we're seeing like Solus is talking about dropping Snap and a few other distributions have dropped it as well. Of course, Linux Mint being the most notable. And now on to our final in the Linux news. Yes, an entire country is switching to Linux, that being Germany. So there, at one point in time, the one of the German cities, was it Munich maybe, did run everything on Linux and FOSS software, and they switched back to Windows simply to get Microsoft to put their German headquarters there. So yeah, that'll motivate Microsoft, force everybody back into the trap. Come on, guys. I know y'all get out of the trap. Get back in here. Get back in here. Well, now Germany's looking at this going, the software licenses are getting big, the constant change, and what they're citing mostly of all is they have all of these computer systems that can't run Windows 11, and they're not interested in spending the money to upgrade to Windows 11 when the computers are still otherwise perfectly working order. So what they are doing is they are switching to an entire FOSS backbone. Now, this is the article from the Document Foundation, who runs LibreOffice, as they prominently cite that the German federal state of Germany is going to be switching to LibreOffice, including their cloud collaboration system, utilizing LibreOffice's corporate support for their backend support. And they're also said they're switching to Linux, although there's no reference anywhere in any article that I read as to which Linux distribution they're using. I said, well, maybe Ubuntu because, hey, everyone's uses Ubuntu. I think Salbu brought up the fact they probably use something like SUSE or OpenSUSE because it is EU founded and they might try and stay inside of the EU. So that's a possibility. The other things that this doesn't make as prominent as some of the other articles levels are doing is they are doing a lot of not just LibreOffice and the computer systems, they're changing every bit of their infrastructure to free and open source software, including developing some new platforms to replace Active Directory. So they are doing a lot of really good things. So if those guys are saying, well, Linux, you just can't do real stuff, well, go tell that to the German government. So there you have it. And hopefully the German government doesn't turn into some crazy guys down the road. I'd use something that starts with like an N word from the 1940s, but nah, it's too close to home. We're not going to mention that. No, but this is actually a really good thing. And I hope that they stick with this. And I hope that it is a major success story that bleeds over into other European states. Well, there is our Linux news. If you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there and you can help support the channel. We have some short stories and things over there. I will add right here, the short story for this month is probably going to be late. It keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and more fascinating. So I have been knocking out a couple hours a day for a while. It's up to like 4,000 words. I'm not even close to done yet. It is going to be an epic story. It might push beyond our deadline, and then who knows, we might readjust our deadline for future months. I don't know. I have no idea. So that is coming down the pipeline. I've not forgotten about you guys, and it is a fascinating article on digital control. So with that, you can find that on patreon.com/TOMM or my other supporter networks. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.